Guilty as charged, Henry said, moving toward his scooter. I'd best move on so that the Leonards will have a house tonight. Shall we tuck them in Tideaway? Henry asked while mounting his scooter. Sure. Maybe I should come help you, Sabrina said, although she knew Tideaway was probably in decent shape and would require only minimal efforts after Henry's sleepover. Just say we're upgrading them at no extra charge when you pick them up at the ferry, said Henry. As long as Detective Junkar's done with you for the moment, Neil said, you need to come to my office as... He was interrupted by the sound of a vehicle approaching. A navy blue Jeep came into view. Oh, no. Do we have curiosity creeps already? Junkar said, disgust rolling off his tongue. Sabrina knew what he meant by curiosity creeps. They were the people who considered a crime site a scenic view, a shrine to visit even years later. They were the ones who called in to talk shows night after night to ask questions about the crime investigation and trial, waiting hours on the line to get through. Worse were the authorities, the callers who scrutinized and weighed the forensic evidence, sharing their theories about why the accused was guilty and should go straight to hell. No, Sabrina said. That's Lila and Evan. They live over there, she said, pointing at the house. Lila and Evan Banks were an elderly couple who had recently moved from New York City to retire on St. John at the villa across the way from Villa Mascarpone. Sabrina watched Lila, always the one to drive, pull into her driveway. Within seconds, Lila was out of the Jeep, staring at the busy officers who were now swarming the driveway and outer yard like navy blue ants at a picnic. One was winding crime scene tape around the property line, cinching Villa Mascarpone at the waist. Evan emerged from the passenger door and went to hoist a plastic bag from Starfish Market out of the back seat. Sabrina heard him telling Lila, "Why don't I just bring the frozen stuff in the house while you run over and see what it's all about, dear? I'll join you in a minute." Though the Alzheimer's was barely noticeable to anyone else, Sabrina knew Lila felt crushed whenever the slightest sign of Evan's deterioration showed, and she guessed that before becoming ill, he would never have let Lila approach a police scene alone. Sabrina was also reminded about the close proximity of the driveways of the three villas sitting at the top of the hill, and how easily you could hear conversations taking place in them. "What's going on here? Whatever has happened? Are you all right, dear?" Lila asked as she approached Neil, Jonkar, and Sabrina, but looked directly at Sabrina. "I thought we'd left this kind of thing behind us when we left New York." Sabrina wanted to reach out and hug Lila, which surprised her because she was not the hugging kind. Henry was always trying to give her a hug for this or that, and she wanted no part of it. But Lila Banks was her friend, and seemed frightened. When Lila and Evan first moved to the neighborhood, Henry had introduced himself and let the Banks know that 10 villas managed their neighbor, Villa Mascarpone. Lila had invited Henry and her to dinner. Sabrina insisted to Henry she didn't want to go, didn't want to get involved with people, especially not old people. But Henry had been adamant. If they were going to make their business work, they had to become part of the small island community. "No man is an island," he said, before she agreed, just to shut him up. Not long after she and Henry had arrived for dinner, Evan, tall, lean, and charming, a retired math professor, had bragged to them how brave Lila was because she was making a new recipe for them, a seafood casserole, which Sabrina and Henry had inhaled. Later, when Sabrina helped Lila load the dishwasher in the kitchen, away from the men who were having brandy by the pool, she complimented Lila on the dinner and for daring to experiment with guests, something Sabrina couldn't imagine doing. "Oh, dear, I think I've made that seafood casserole about 100 times in the past 40 years. The secret is the Ritz crackers on top with loads of melted butter. Evan just doesn't remember. It's part of the Alzheimer's." Sabrina worried when Detective Jonkar took a step toward Lila, but his voice was surprising.